Very good afternoon to all. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to Tally CA Connect. Today's topic of discussion is like a refresher course on e-invoicing. With the latest notification that we all are aware that all businesses over 5 crores and above will have to comply with e-invoicing compliance from 1st of August. Our expert for today, none other than Punit Mehta. Punitji always come up with the easiest solutions for our accounting problems. And today, Punitji is here to take us through e-invoicing feature of TallyPrime in a way that it's not just important for the compliance purpose, but also how e-invoice solution can help streamline all our business transactions. And over to you, Punitji. Thank you once again for agreeing to take this session at our CA Connect today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Komalji, for giving me this opportunity of sharing knowledge on e-invoice. E-invoicing is an important aspect of our entire government's working for digitization of our accounting, and I'm really happy to be here once again on this Tally platform for providing or for sharing knowledge on e-invoice. Friends, good afternoon and welcome once again on this Tally CA Connect program. And this program, Tally team has been running for last, I think, more than 3 or 4 years, and diligently coming up with the topics which are related to chartered accountants, which are related to businesses, and more so with the perspective of understanding the intricacies of the software. So while Tally team themselves take the webinar, the CA Connect program is especially for having a connect one-to-one samvad with the chartered accountants. And I hope we should be able to do a good connect on this particular platform today. So the topic for the day is Master Step-by-Step Guide for implementing e-invoice in TallyPrime. So we'll be looking at the configurations which is required in terms of setup and the safeguards. What one should note before implementing the e-invoice or during the implementation phase. So that we are going to learn. These are my credentials if anybody wants to connect. Today's date is 26 July. And 26 July to all our Mumbaikars, those who are from Mumbai, is a special day, or rather a day which we cannot forget. Is since the year 2005 is the amount of rain that we got it on that day has been unprecedented. And today again in Mumbai it's raining like cats and dogs. I mean, it's raining heavily. So in the midst of that, we are learning about e-invoice. So friends, let's start with our today's session. Two important things. I love interacting. So those of you who wish to respond back to me to questions that I am going to pose over you, because I love a lot of communication with the attendees. So I would request all of you to use chat for the communication with me, and you can also use Q&A in case you have a specific query. Q&A, I will be looking at it. In case we are on that particular agenda, I'll be answering it. Otherwise, the Tally team is also going to respond back if any question and answer is pending. So all your queries has to get resolved, that is for sure. Use chat for the purpose of communicating with me. So the first question that I have for you, all of you, is e-invoicing compulsory or voluntary? Please respond on the chat. Is e-invoicing compulsory or voluntary? We know we are here for that, and Komalji did mention that it is for the businesses above 5 crores. So let me see what our responses are coming. Compulsory. While I will agree to most of you, what you have written is one thing which is very important, that it is now voluntary as well. So if a business is not having a turnover of 5 crores in any of the previous financial year, they can still go and register for e-invoicing. So from March 23, it is voluntary as well. Yes, what you all are saying is that from 1st of August, it's compulsory. Yes, it's compulsory for the businesses above 5 crores. And for those of you who are below 5 crores, you still can generate e-invoice. Government is welcoming you to do that. Now the portal is available. You just have to make some working and then you can raise an e-invoice. Okay. So let's start with some e-invoice basics. 1st April, we already mentioned. Friends, here I would like to know that in case my turnover from 2017 to 2023, March 23 is less than 5 crores. And in the year from April 23, to July 23, my turnover has gone to more than 7 crores. Would e-invoice be applicable to me? Yes or no? Applicable to turnover more than 5 crores, as I have mentioned. So my Deepkiran Kaur, Nilanshu Agrawal, Ashish Shah. Yes. So here my understanding is that the e-invoice would be applicable only from 1st April 2024 and not for this. So it's for the entire financial year. So in case your turnover has increased in this year, maybe by July or maybe by November or whenever, your e-invoicing would be applicable from the next financial year. That you must note it. So we see that there are a lot of confusion, but as I see the statute, if your financial year, if for the financial year, in any of the financial year, you have not crossed the turnover, then you need not start from 1st August, even if it is crossed in the current year. E-invoice is nothing but reporting on the IRP portal. What is IRP portal? We will see very shortly. IRN number is a 64-digit unique number which is required or which gets generated when we are doing this e-invoice. So the entire purpose of this e-invoice is nothing but generating this IRN and the QR code. Okay, QR code is a short of IRN because it is practically impossible to key in those 64 digits. So QR code government is providing so that you are able to scan it in a second and check whether the e-invoice is there or not. So amendments are not allowed. That is very, very critical. Amendments are not allowed. Okay. So let's see some misconceptions around e-invoice and see whether we are aware of those misconceptions or not. Need to issue invoices only through GST portal. No. You need to generate IRN for each invoice. Okay. So that is what it is. Through billing accounting software, QR code and IRN is required. E-invoices needed to be generated for all transactions. No, it's mandatory only for B2B exports. Introduction of e-invoices increases GST compliance. How many of you would agree or disagree with this? Introduction of e-invoices increases GST compliance. Akshay says no. Oh, wow. Nilanshu and Everyone else is saying apart from Ashish. Oh, thank you, Ashish, Akshay, for agreeing with my view, is that it reduces compliance and it leads to auto creation of GSTR1 to e-way bill as well. So there are quite a few benefits for e-invoice. It's not just a burden that one should look at. कि अरे यार e-invoice आ गया ना, अब ये मेरे पर burden है. नहीं, it is a fantastic thing. Once we move along, we'll realize. IRN number is the invoice number. No, it's just a reference number. Nothing. Separate invoices format is required for different businesses. No, you can have same format for all the businesses. Absolutely, you can have same format. There's no such restriction. Okay, as I mentioned, IRN is compulsory. But what is this IRN? How it is to be generated? What is the way in which it is getting? So it is a hash. Hash is the IT terminology used that based on this supplier GSTN, financial year, document type, that's a tax invoice, and the document number. ये 5 चीजों के combination में, sorry, 4 for combination of all these 4 will make the e-invoice 64-digit number. We get it. It is not just aggregating these 4 things, but if you see the supplier GST number and your invoice number in the financial year, this cannot be common or this cannot be repeated across the different vendors. So they are making a hash of these 4 fields and then generating an e-invoice. So hash is nothing but a computer terminology that based on these 4 inputs, they will generate a 64-digit number. Okay. Here and by I'll come to that labor job invoice. E-invoice for related goods. On that also I'll come. So friends, this is just a snapshot that government is looking at a big revenue in the month of April, 1,87,000 crores, slightly dipped in May and June, and July again we are expecting to cross more than 2 lakhs crore. And because of e-invoice, government is benefited a lot. पैसा तो बहुत आया है government का, and that is why they are making it mandatory for different classes of people. Right now it's 5 crores. I get to hear that probably from 1st of January it will be compulsory for all, or maybe for those who are more than 1.5 CR. So yeah, it is yet not come, but expected. Why should we using e-invoice for TallyPrime? Easy to use, simple to implement. That's when we move along, and plenty of support available for TallyPrime. You ask any of your chartered accountants, you ask any of your tally partner near you, they will respond back, say yes, we'll get it done in next 2 to 3 or 4 hours. So that is what the beauty of TallyPrime is. So for businesses, this is what is most important. Support should be available and whenever required. Okay, so it will help tax evasion, less scope for manipulation, because e-invoice, you mention it to the government, reduces chances of fake GST invoice, because that is the main reason why government brought in this. Input credit can be matched with output tax details immediately. Tax authorities, so the QR code that you generate along with your invoice, if a tax authority scans that QR code or you scan that QR code, you get the details of all the invoices which is there, or all the invoice information which is there recorded on the printed on the invoice. So as what I see is that cost reduction is definite case, time saving with accuracy, reconciliation, better relationship with vendors, capital management is good, and paper elimination. Friends, digital invoice is helping to move along in the AI space by making this government is moving or requesting that now the technology providers to come and help in generating or reducing the paper and the labor. There is a possibility, and I see a lot of software vendors coming out with a solution, is that if my sale invoice is recorded, e-invoiced, it would be recorded as an automatically your purchase invoice. Of course, there are safeguards into it, but that is also a not a very distant possibility, a very near future. I've seen some of the solutions around that. This is an important slide. One is that it will not be a valid invoice. Consequences, nahi kiya to kya? Your invoice will not be a valid invoice. Now, if your invoice is not valid invoice, then you, the opposite person, the purchaser, will not be able to take the ITC. His ITC can be rejected. His ITC can be rejected. Of course, there can be ifs and buts, but his ITC can be rejected. That is one important part. And the most important part, 100% of the tax amount, whatever is the tax amount, that or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher, for each such instance of not preparing or preparing wrongly. Now, how important it is? If you see, if you have not prepared an e-invoice for 1st of April, I have to raise an e-invoice, Punit Mehta, and he has not raised it. Okay, then for each such instance, the government could charge me 10,000 rupees or the tax amount which I have charged in that invoice. It will reduce, it will it will not allow the ITC. That's a separate thing to the purchaser, but it will also put the penalty on me, and 10,000 rupees or tax amount for each such instance. So it is very, very critical that the users should learn how to do it and ensure that the compliance is made. Okay, so this is absolutely important. Please note, make the correct note of it, and what are the safeguards to ensure that the right e-invoice is generated, and what are the safeguards for ensuring that your complete process is there. That is what our topic for the today's discussion is. Yeah, there was a question. What invoices are to be covered? Labor job? Yes. Invoices by the supplier, whether it is a service invoice or whether it's a goods invoice, it is covered. If your turnover as per PAN is more than 5 crores, then you are supposed to raise e-invoice, whether it is for labor or whether it is for material. It doesn't make a difference. You will have to ensure that your e-invoice is generated. To my best of the understanding, it is also on the nil rated goods, because you are raising a tax invoice. Okay, exempt invoices are completely different. Whether if the GST is exempt, then I'm not sure whether the GST tax invoice has to be raised or not. That's nil rated goods. To that, I think, yes, we will have to raise an e-invoice. Okay. So here, the documents covered are invoices by the supplier, credit notes by the supplier. Supplier essentially means the seller. Okay, the seller will have to raise the e-invoice. Debit notes by the recipient. So if you are sending the purchase goods and those are returning back, okay, so for that you need not raise the e-invoice. So that's why I have cancelled that. Who can generate? I'll just repeat, it is the suppliers. Those transporters, those recipients whose turnover is more than 5 crores, but they are completely exempted. So they will have to file a declaration on the government portal. That's what I understand, that you can just check with your GST consultant, that they will have to file a declaration that e-invoice is not applicable to us. Okay. So such companies where turnover is more than 5 crores and they are exempted from charging the tax, they will have to give a note to the government of or put up a declaration on the GST portal. Okay, let me see some chat. And yes, Akshay, e-invoice is compulsory for service industry as well. Turnover is what it is. Export services, LUT, how to bill? Yes, export services are also covered, Rajesh ji. What about export invoices? Yes, those are also covered. We will see in case we get to see the live transaction, we will see. Those are also covered. Export invoices are also covered under e-invoice. Voice is breaking. I'm not sure about it. Komalji, is my voice clear or is it giving a challenge?
So beat treatment is a bit, but it's clear.
Okay. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see.
No, the voice is clear, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, Neela. Thank you, Ashish bhai, Sarat. Yep, so nice. So what is an IRP? It's invoice registration portal, a portal where we have to register for our e-invoice, upload our e-invoices, and report our e-invoices. So that's a portal, IRP. Right. So क्या details जाना चाहिए? What details should go? Seller details, name, address, GSTN. Buyer details, name, address, GSTN. The one who is buying. Consignee details, if the ship to is different, those things should go. Dispatch from details, if your dispatch is different from your place of business, then you'll have to give those details also. Item details, that is quantity, rate, UQC, that is unique quantity code, amount, HSN. HSN is nothing but harmonized system of nomenclature. Invoice details, the number, date, discount if any, other charges, total amount. Export details, some of you asked that whether we should be raising an export invoice. If we are raising an export invoice, are we supposed to raise? Yes, you are supposed to raise. And finally, the e-way bill details. These are all compulsory fields. Now my question is that in case you have to send these details on the e-invoice portal, what time it should take to for the portal to receive this information and give you back the confirmation? How much time it should take? The portal जब आपकी इतनी सारी details जाती है, about 30 details, okay, these details, once they are going on the portal and portal is checking it and responding back to you with the IRN, how much time it should take? When we are sending these details, how much time it should take? For Sumit says 5 minutes. Okay. One minute. Hemal says 10 minutes. Neela Prashant says 72 hours. 1 second. Thank you, Mr. Shivrama Krishna. Yes, it is taking few fraction of seconds. Why? Because it is now, Tally is now using the technology and the thanks to GST and portal for allowing that technology. While the technology companies can do wonders, but it is the platform which is important. The platform where it is accepting the information of the various GST holders. So that platform, I must thank Narendra Modi government for ensuring that e-invoice compliance has been one of the best digitization after UPI, that is in the payments. This is one of the best innovation that the government has brought in for the traders, and we will see at the end what are the benefits for that. Okay, let me come back to our this thing. Let me show you the entire technology picture. I have sent, I as a supplier send the goods to you in, and if for that I will have to send the invoice details to IRP. IRP does a deduplication check, invoice number repeated nahi hai, and the other parameters. Once they return it, they return it the JSON supplier with the QR code information. Now this is happening technologically. We don't need to interfere or check on that what is happening. I mean, we just that the entire flow chart, you should be aware how things are working. Returns digitally signed with the supplier, we get it, sends authenticated payload to the GST system, sends e-way bill systems and generates the e-way bill number. Okay, so these are all the functions which are happening on the IRP. What is GST system doing? GST system is storing the details. It is get your GSTR1, my GSTR1. If I have some of the goods, then my GSTR1 gets updated. When it will get updated? It gets updated after 2 days. What I have seen is that once I have generated an e-invoice, after 2 days, this my GSTR1 would reflect that this is an e-invoice which I have raised. When you would see, if you have received the goods, you would see it after 2 days, 2A and 2B as well. I'm not sure of 2B, but 2A definitely. Buyer can use the QR code to verify the invoice. Buyer can use the ITC related invoice in his 2A and 2B. Okay. Whether all invoices need to be repeated? No, only B2B invoices. B2C are not required to be reported. Now, please answer this. Is there any fixed position of QR code on invoice? Vijayanti says yes. Chetna says no. Dot on target. Chetna, thank you. Himal Baniar says yes. Thank you for contributing. No. There is no such fixed QR code. Yes, for practical purposes, Tally has got configured at one place, and that's why most of the software vendors have done it. But you can print it anywhere on the invoice. Now, is IRN number compulsory on the invoices to be printed? Second question. Chetna says yes, yes, yes. Vikas says no. Oh, thank you, Ashish bhai. Vikas, I really love your knowledge. No, it's optional. IRN number is embedded in the QR code that we will see. Okay. So preparedness for e-invoicing. Taxpayer will receive a communication. Now let's start with our practical working. On receiving the communication, now this communication is through our notification that government has issued for 5 crore plus companies. Complete the registration process. Okay, how many of you are aware of the registration process on the e-invoice portal? What to do, how to do, of the we are not talking about tally में जो कर रहा हूं मैं बताऊंगा आपको, but how many of you are aware of the registration portal, that IRP portal पे करना क्या है, what exactly we have to do? Hemal says not aware. Nilanshu says not aware. Chitna, I'm missing your question. If sometimes QR code is not sent, we'll have to. Acha, you are saying no, QR code is compulsory. You'll have to ensure that the QR code picture is such big that it has to get scanned. Usha says no, e-way bill login will work. Yes, e-way bill login will work. Akshay, let me show you a solution around this. Is my video visible?
तो आवाज नहीं आ रही लेकिन विजिबल
आवाज नहीं आ रही है, ठीक है, मैं तो बताऊंगा एक एक करके.
हाँ हाँ तब ठीक है.
हाँ ठीक है. So you have to choose Tally as your GSP, as your e-invoice portal. That's the prime requirement. Okay, you will have to create API user login credential. What is API credentials? That we will see as we move along. Okay, and the details that are required to be uploaded directly from TallyPrime, that we will see. This is a very critical part. Many times this video is not available, or this users are not aware. If you have e-way bill login, somebody just informed, if you have e-way bill login, then you need not create the e-invoice login again. Okay, no need for e-way bill login is okay with that. Okay, so that is where it is. So let me complete this process. Go on the e-invoice one gst.gov.in. Go on the registration portal login. That's important. Put up your GSTN number. Enter the CAPTCHA. You will get all the details. You'll have to fill in all the details: applicant name, trade name. Now, what is this trade name? Trade name is the name of your company. Okay, and we suggest that you put your trade name in the mailing name functionality of Tally. Now, where is the mailing name coming? Whenever you create your company, under the create option, you get an option called mailing name. For those of you who wish to see, I will let you know once we are into Tally, that mailing name option which is there, which should match with this trade name. Okay, otherwise you will have difficulty in communicating with the GST portal. Address line 1 to at least 3 characters, more than and less than 100 characters. city, pin code, state, pin code should not have space. इसमें तो नहीं आएगा because this is government portal, but in your tally there also we should not have space in pin code. State name is compulsory, mail and mobile ID. This is a compulsory fields. You'll have to send an OTP on the registered number, e-invoice registration form. So this is a registration for your recording of or for informing the GST portal that we are choosing Tally India Private Limited. Once you get this, you will have to put the username, password, and then just to check, re-enter password. This you will have to put it. This is your own credential. So I can put my own password, Punit Mehta, or whatever it is. So I can put my username and password. This I will have to put it myself. Login. You'll have to give your ID and password and provide the CAPTCHA. Here we come to an important aspect, because as we saw that there are about 30 fields which needs to go from your software to GSP, or rather to GSTN network, and through it is GSP. So we need to provide the API details. API details are nothing but short details of whatever credentials that we are having. Okay, but first we have to select that to whom we are going to communicate, through whom we are going to communicate to the GST portal. So this is important. You go to API registration. And once you go through that API registration, you give the user credentials. Again, create API user. Now this is a important thing. You'll have to give another OTP from your registered mobile number. Verify OTP. Yes. So here you wish to inform the GST portal that how am I going to work, whether I'm going to work on the directly GSTN portal through a package, through a client ID of others, or through some ERP. Okay, so here we have to select Tally India as a GSP. Through GSP, yes, this is the critical part. There are about 40 GSPs which are there. If you are using TallyPrime, then you have to select this username and password. You have to enter your, so the username, again this is second username, would be prefixed with API underscore. So you provide this detail. API user credentials for e-way bill can be used for e-invoice as well. That's I've already mentioned. Yes, you have to provide the e-invoice detail, login details. Your altered API can be used in TallyPrime. Where to use it, how to use it, we will come on that a little while later. How to use it in TallyPrime, will come on that a little while later. So I'm coming back on this. Export invoices are required. Credit note, debit notes, this we have already discussed. Acha, this is one question that was asked again and again in this particular platform, is that I'm sending my own goods to my own branch in different state. Then yes, it is applicable. Now for them also, that turnover has to get included in the entire working. So even if it is in the same state, no, it's not a problem. But if it is different state, then that turnover also has to get included. Okay. So modes of generating e-invoice, kya modes hain hamare paas available, so that we can see what are the different modes of e-invoice which are available. Business portal, direct entry on the portal, API which we just saw. Okay, mobile app is also there. If we have some there is a clear cut working e-way bill also, we can generate it through our mobile, but we'll have to use that codes into bracket GSTN number into close bracket, and there is a specific form of code that it is there. Most likely if a user is not using a standard accounting package, then they may use for offline tool. They may go for offline tool, which is there on the Tally, which is there on the GSTN portal, that you can download it and that you can use it as well. But my worry is different. I'll come to that. My worry, even if you are using an offline tool, how and what are the precautions that you need to keep? Will IRP store archive e-invoice? No, IRP is just a pass-through portal. It performs prescribed validation for those 30 fields. It does the validation and generates the IRN. It is not using the mind of its own, or it will not store anything. जो 30 validations दिए, yes no proper है, okay कर दिया, deduplication check किया कर दिया, so they will generate an IRN, but it will not store for an infinite amount of time. Till what time it will store? It will store only for 24 hours. Okay, so we will come on that. So you'll see that an integrated system is required, whether it is Tally or whether it is any other software. You will require an integrated system to remain on the top of your compliance and to be away from the penalties that can be generated. So simple and powerful system needs to generate for disrupting. Okay. So let me take you through the credentials or their working, what is required in TallyPrime. Okay, आपको TallyPrime में क्या करना है? So you'll have to go to F11. You'll have to go to this enable GST, and once you go out there, then here you get a question that is e-invoicing applicable? Is e-invoicing applicable? This is the question that you'll have to answer. From what date it is applicable, and you'll have to also provide the ship from or invoice bill from Bangalore or whatever it is. This again you'll have to provide it when you are starting the e-invoice working. This is only once in a time you will have to provide. Maybe it can be changed at a later point of time for transaction to transaction, but then you'll have to mention it right at the F11 field in the initial phase only. Okay, so from Tally's perspective, this is the first step that you need to do. क्या करना है? F11 GST details and e-invoicing applicable. Yes, applicable from, invoice bill from. That's it. This is the only option that you need to provide, and after that you need to generate the invoice. Just record the sale invoice, nothing else. So what will happen is that your e-invoice generated from TallyPrime through Tally India Private Limited GSP goes to the IRP, comes back Tally India Private Limited GSP, and in the fraction of seconds it comes back to TallyPrime. Now this entire process is happening in less than 2 to 3 seconds, or rather 1 second. We will see as we move along. One second. So what one has to do? One has to generate an invoice. Okay. Here e-way bill details needs to be fed in. Okay, all the details which are related to e-way bill details, bill to place, which we just mentioned, that you need to enter, and that's it. Once you're generating this invoice, Tally asks a question in F12. 1 second. Here we have kept the option send e-invoice details after saving voucher. We have kept it as no. Okay, so here we can keep it as yes, and control A. Do you want to generate e-invoice? And that's it. You say yes, you provide the details of the e-invoice. Okay, yeah, this is what is required. The API details, what we have kept it, that needs to get recorded, that needs to get user ID and password. That's it. And based on that, you should be able to generate the e-invoice. It's in fraction of seconds that this information, what we have sent, about 30 pieces of information, goes on the GSP portal, through GSP portal to the GSTN portal, and from there we get it back. So it is that simple. That's it. Okay, we can send multiple invoices together as well. How to do it? I'll just show you. So bulk upload. Now, why bulk upload? As you saw that currently I just posted one transaction and that it did not went on the invoice portal. Like that, the users can also record multiple transactions. The accountant can come at later point of time. Data entry operator has entered the transaction. Accountant can come later point of time, check all the details and do this bulk upload. Okay, so bulk upload is a fascinating feature of TallyPrime and it is useful for the users. Why? Because it ensures that no wrong information is going on the GST portal. As I had mentioned earlier, we cannot alter or change the information once submitted. Before submission, yes, you can do it, but after submission, nothing. Once you have generated an e-invoice, you cannot change it. So you will have to ensure that proper recording is made, and after that you can provide the details. So how to do the bulk upload? Let's see. Go to e-invoice portal, e-invoice report, and here you see there are 4 transactions. On the exchange button on the left hand side top, on the left side of the screen, besides go to, there is a button called exchange, and under that send for e-invoicing, that option is there. You select that, you select one, you select all, whatever you wish to do, and then click on send. So for 2 only for IRN generation, yes. Provide the API details, and that's it. The moment you provide the details, acha, ye API details once you have given, you need not enter it again and again from the same machine. For 8 hours, that information is stored in the background of Tally. E-invoice generated count is 2. We go back to the transaction and see whether those e-invoice generated. So one by one, I have generated for all the 4. IRN generated e-invoice report. This is there, and you look at the e-invoice working. So you get these 64-digit number, IRN generation date, okay, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date. So this is how an e-invoice is generated. You can see the print preview also of any of the invoices. So this information is, some of you asked that whether it is compulsory for e-way bill. E-way bill compliance is different. It is different from state to state. So e-invoice is something which is required to be updated. So for 50,000 or for 1 lakh, For different state, it is a different requirement in terms of number of kilometers. So if your state is involving that, or if wanting to generate, you can generate it together. E-way bill and e-invoice can be generated together. No need to worry. As I mentioned in Tally, if you see here in F12, when I'm looking at the invoice F12, it is asking me the question, send e-way bill details after saving of the voucher. Yes. Send e-way bill details along with e-invoice. If I say this, says a yes, then after e-invoice, along with the e-invoice details, e-way bill details can go. Many of you prefer sending e-invoice details later on. Once e-way bill is generated, only e-way bill has to be there. Then this is the configuration. Then you have to say, send e-invoice details after saving voucher as no, and send e-way bill details after saving voucher as yes. Why? Because you wish to generate only e-way bill in case you wish to generate. Okay, so that is required many times in the transportations industry. So because of transportation, that you are not sure the part A and part B is filled and all those things. So at that point of time, your details, you can send the details to a GST portal in different chunks. That's what I want to mention. Flexibility to generate offline also. We can generate offline details of our invoice, e-invoice. One second. Okay, now why this is required? Because there's an emergency which could be coming in. Emergency means your internet is not working, but you still want to generate the e-invoice. What to do? You can go to Tally, in Tally this thing, in this exchange, send details for e-invoicing, export. This is a JSON file that will get generated in your local machine, and then you can take it wherever the internet is and upload the information. You will get the QR code in that revised JSON that you can come in Tally and paste it. That's very much possible. Import it by saving it in the Tally folder itself. Let me see some of the question. Is it possible to have multiple GSP, ISP for the same business? I don't think so, Nilanshu. Leland, no need to generate B2C invoice for e-invoice. Sumit, is there a timeline for generating e-way bill once e-invoice is completed? E-way bill timelines are different for different states. You will have to check from which state do you belong. It's compulsory along with the goods whenever you are sending. So for e-invoice, there is a time limit, but for e-way bill, as I understand, it has to be along with the movement of goods. Okay, let me see some of the questions. If actual B2B turnover is less than 5 crores, but we include interstate stock transfer. Answered live, Nilanshu. Definitely, Pratik, you will get the recording. Komalji would provide the details for that at the end. Leland, we already answered your question. Goods sent for job work, e-invoice required or not? If there is a GST compliance, yes. Otherwise, no. So GST compliance, if you are sending it through tax invoice, you are sending it for job work, for not for your within the state, but outside the state, or to a different job worker, yes. Otherwise, no. In MP, there is an intrastate limit of 1 lakh. That's fine, Ajit. As I said, different state has got different limit. Is it necessary to generate e-way bill for e-invoice? E-way bill compliance is again depending upon the state to state. It is there on the goods, not on the services. For services, you cannot generate an e-way bill. It is only for the goods that you'll have to ensure, not necessary. Oh, my good friend Hiren Bhai has asked time limit for creating an invoice. What a wonderful question. Thank you, Hiren Bhai, for asking that question. Government, when they came with this concept of e-invoice, they came with a concept that within 3 days you are supposed to generate 500 crore plus companies को. But then they relaxed that. Okay. And later point of time, they were not very, adamant of timeline for generating e-invoice. But couple of months back, there something happened within the government. They came up with a notification that for 500 crore plus companies, or rather it was 100 crore plus companies turnover, they have to generate it within 7 days. And just before the start of that notification, the date of that notification, I think it was 1st of May or 1st of June, I'm not sure, but just before that they came up with a notification, no, there is no time limit as such currently. So Hiren bhai, currently there is no such time limit which is prescribed by the government of India. But please understand that what e-invoice you are generating is reflecting in your GSTR1. So your GSTR1 is normally you will file before 10th or 11th of the next month. So my thinking is that if not anything else, you have to generate it before 10th or 11th of previous or of the next month. That's what my thinking is. You'll have to check with it. The government says they want it as soon as possible, but it is for you to decide when you can upload the information. Right now, there is no such time limit which is implemented within Tally or by the GSP. So right now, everyone can breathe a little easy. But as we are looking at the government's intention, they will come out with some kind of notification or the time limit. Kinjal, I have just answered that question. Yes, Akshay, we need to check turnover of every year. Akshay, yes, we can generate a backdated e-invoice. So your invoice date is of 15th of July. You are sitting on 26th of July. Can we generate an e-invoice for 15th of July? Technically, yes. Whether it will stand in the GST authority's purpose or not, that is a different question that needs to be answered by a GST consultant probably. But technically, yes, you can generate it. Tally also allows you to generate it. It is the GST portal is also currently allowing to generate. I have seen people generating it after 30 days also. So as such, this is what it is. Sir, what about debit note and credit note? Okay. Vipin, nice question. Debit note and credit note. If you are sending the goods, selling the goods, I covered it earlier. If you are selling the goods and for that the goods are being returned, then you will have, because that is reported on the GST portal, then you will have to raise an e-invoice for the goods which are returning. Okay. So it is because you have already reported in your GSTR1 whenever you have sold it, and now the goods are returning back. So credit note, yes, clear. Okay. Debit note, yes, subject to those which are raised by the seller. Now, when will a seller raise an debit note? Suppose I'm selling the goods to Komal and she has not made the payment for 30 days or 120 days. And there is a contract between us that in case you do not make the payment, you will be charged interest on this invoice. So that particular invoice or debit note will have to be covered under e-invoice. Okay. So that debit note will be covered under e-invoice, and anything additional you are charging. Okay. But those debit notes which a purchaser is generating because of return of goods, no, those need not be reported on the e-invoice portal. Okay. So Vipin bhai, I hope the query is clear. What is required? Rajesh ji is asking B2B and B2C for exempted goods too. I'm not sure of it, Rajesh ji. Exempted goods will not be covered under tax invoice probably. So they will not come under this thing. That's what my understanding is. Please check with your GST consultant. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a straight answer for this, but probably no. Deep Kiran Kaur says clarity on date of implementation. Yeah, for 1/4/24 of now, in case Deep Kiran, what I mentioned was that from 1/4 or rather from the year 2017 when the GST was implemented till 2023 March 23, your turnover was less than 5 crores. Okay. And in the year 23-24, your turnover has increased to more than 5 crores. Then your date of applicability of e-invoice, as per my understanding, it is 1/4/24. Otherwise, it is 1/8/23 for those companies who are having turnover above 5 crores in any of these things. So I've already answered live. Payal, I cannot understand what you've written. SEZ supplies. Yes, SEZ supplies are also covered under e-invoice. What to do if there is an amendment? Akshay, thank you for asking that question. अभी amendments तो होगा. Tally is known for flexibility. अरे बरसों से हम लोग सफर यूज कर रहे हैं, and Tally में we can alter our invoice, we can change our invoice. It is happening. Tally allows it. What to do, right? What to do on the GST portal? That's the question that many of the Tally users are having. Okay, so let me answer that as we move along. Amendments in invoice, what to do? So there are two possibilities, Akshay. When that amendment is coming up, there is a possibility that amendment is just informed. Abhi invoice generate kiya and somebody says कि नहीं ये rate गलत था, party name गलत था, whatever it is. Okay, and that you need to amend one immediately, and sometimes after 2 to 3 4 days. So in case you are wanting to amend it immediately or within 24 hours, then you can cancel your e-invoice. How to cancel, what to cancel will come up that. But in case it 24 hours have also passed, you cannot cancel the e-invoice, then what can be done is that you will have to pass a credit note and then generate a new invoice. Okay, so this is the entire working that we'll have to do. Otherwise amendments तो मैंने पहले ही बोला था पॉसिबल नहीं है. ये तीर कमान से एक बार निकल गया ई इनवॉइस का, फिर से ये वापस से आपके कमान में आएगा नहीं. Sunil bhai, reverse charge invoices not covered except for those lawyers. Those are covered. Lawyers invoices which are covered under reverse charge, those will have to generate, but otherwise those are not supposed to be covered under e-invoice as per my understanding. Okay, so let's come to our presentation. So e-invoice report to get bird's eye view, status of each e-invoice I will show you in Tally itself. Status of each e-invoice, what to do? You have to go to Alt G, e-invoice, and information. So sometimes the information is not required, but okay. For IRN cancellation or for IRN register, on the right hand side there is a button called F5 IRN register. Here you will get all the details with e-invoice status. This is a very fantastic report. You see it for the entire year, you'll really love it. So if you have made a modification, you will find it out here. Voucher information mismatch with the QR code. If it is generated correctly, that's no problem. Here the status is pending for IRN cancellation. So all these things are available in the Tally itself. Okay, sometimes pending for IRN cancellation, some missing or invalid information. So all those things you can correct it from one place itself. So that's the beauty of TallyPrime. Generate IRN for pending invoices. You go to Alt Z Exchange and generate IRN. Okay. Many times it does happen that you have sold it through Amazon or Flipkart. So e-invoice is generated from that software. Now you want to update that details also. So what to do for such cases? Then you will have to manually update it, or you can update it through get IRN number. I will show it to you in Tally what to do. So when you are saying that this e-invoice is pending to be generated, pending to be generated in case it is there, So you can click on button called get IRN info for that invoice, and you will have to give your login credentials and details. So all those invoices which has been recorded on Amazon or your third party portal, that information will get recorded automatically in your Tally software. That's one of the beautiful things that Tally is providing because of the fantastic API that Narendra Modi government or the GST portal, GST and government has provided. So you can generate, you need not generate your e-invoice once again. Okay. Here I have explained you can in here you can also upload the details manually. More details. So here your e-invoice details also you can upload the information manually. Okay. So here copy and paste is also allowed. Build to place. The only challenge that this particular copy and paste would mean that you will not be able to, you'll get IRN number, but you'll not get QR code. QR code के लिए वो जैसा नहीं चाहिए, which needs to get pasted in your Tally folder. Otherwise, this will not be allowed. E-invoice details. So you can get it manually. I've shown it to you how in the invoice you go to more details and you get the details. Okay. Identify invoices which are modified. We've already seen it from IRN register. IRN cancellation due to duplicate entries. Let's see cancellation process in Tally. Cancellation of e-invoice. So let's see the cancellation process. It's a very important process. You go to e-invoice report first. IRN which are generated from the system. Go to an invoice, right click on that invoice, cancel, mark as cancelled. You'll have to mark the invoice as cancelled. Mark as cancelled. The moment you say cancelled, okay, then in the mark as cancellation field, you will have to again update that information, the reason for being cancelled. Update cancellation, the reason for being cancellation. So whatever reason that it is there, you'll have to mention the reason, invalid data or something or the other. Okay. And then once this is cancelled on this particular portal or transaction, you will have to go to Alt Z, exchange of information, and send for e-invoicing. Here you will get for IRN cancellation, and then click on button called send. That's it. Final step, one more important step is required. You provide the GST details, the username and the password. And once this is provided, e-invoice cancelled, this you get it on such swift mode. Finally, one important aspect is required, because this is IRN cancelled. Right. So one important step after this is required, because now you have cancelled the e-invoice on the e-invoice portal. Okay. That information you have cancelled, that removed the information of QR code from your invoice, but your accounting value has not got changed. Your accounting value, your GST liability has not got changed because you have not cancelled the transaction. My suggestion to you all would be that please use Alt X after cancelling, after updating on the GST portal. Please use Alt X. Alt X is a shortcut key for cancelling the e-invoice. Please use that, and thereafter you should be able to cancel the e-invoice. Okay. the transaction. So we have already seen how to delete the IRN store within information, more information mein jaake. So finally, always remain in control of e-invoicing process. There are fantastic alerts which are coming up. The important part is that whether it is multi-user version or a single user version of Tally you are using, you are in control of the entire environment. So it's not just कि मेरे एक node से मैंने e-invoice generate कर दिया तो वो information दूसरे node पे नहीं है. That information is there on the other node as well. Okay, so that is there. We've seen that deletion, cancellation, and what are the safeguards that we need to put. There are a few more safeguards which I will discuss to you once we move along. Okay. In case Tally portal is working, but the GST portal is not working, and it has happened with we've seen in last 2 to 3 months, once or twice, that the GST portal itself is not working. So go to status.gstsystem status.tallysolutions.com, and there you would find that what is the working. Let me show you. Status.tallysolutions.com. So it shows that browser access service, this for our current system. GST services, NIC services is working. Please note, this is an important part, because sometimes it does happen that the NIC portal or the GST portal is not working, and people may get confused कि Tally नहीं चल रहा है. अरे भाई Tally नहीं चल रहा है, ये भी possibility हो सकती है, but also check whether the GST portal is not working or not. So instead of getting tensed up, it is possible that the Tally GST portal itself is not working, and once you come here and see the status it is working, then once again you can go in Tally software and upload your e-invoice. It will be allowed. Let me see some of the chats which are there. Okay, Nilanshu, you have asked certain questions. Let me see. Post 24 hours, any amendment credit note has to be generated. Yes, a new invoice has to be generated. So does it automatically mean that new invoice will now be created on the current date? Of course, instead of original date. Yes, of course. That is there. You cannot use the same invoice number. That is very clear. Deduplication checks means that the invoice number once generated, once used, will not get thing. Amazon has tied up with some other GSP and asking merchant to provide those GSP detail on invoice. That invoice is created on Amazon. Now some stock transfer not to be created by Tally. That I will need to check. I think for your e-invoice we can have this thing also, but I'll need to check with the practically again. I've not come across this particular scenario. Nilanshu, how to import e-invoice data in GSTR1? Akshay, no need to import. It is automatically gets validated. Cancellation invoice time, Elizabeth, it is nothing but 24 hours. After 24 hours, all the invoice details have went to the port from the GST portal. Q&A. When to set the date from e-invoice? It is 1st August. Okay. Nilanshu, I've just answered those. Answer live. Okay. I think I'm all done with the question. Let me start with the presentation once again. Okay. Yes, want to know the safeguards? What safeguards you need to mention? Yes, no? Are we still there or sleeping, some of you? 86 participants. क्या क्या करना चाहिए या क्या क्या नहीं करना चाहिए while generating e-invoice? This is from me, that I have, or my team has given me this response. Akshay says yes. Only Akshay is there, or rest of the others? How many would like to know the safeguards? Yes, yes, yes. Vikas, Kinjal, thank you. Thank you for that active participation. I really love it. Those of you who wish to speak, probably Komalji would allow them at the end of the session, because we cannot have during the session, but probably at the end of the session, depending on the time availability, we can have discussion on that. So let's see what safeguards आपको क्या-क्या चीजों से बचना है. First and foremost, ensure that the GST compliance is made. When I say GST compliance, is your proper HSN code, the tax rate, the PIN code, those things which are required. In short, agar aapka GSTR1 Tally में से निकल रहा है, you are able to generate GSTR1 from Tally, then or 3B from Tally, that means your GST compliance is done. In case your GSTR1 contains, you can go and check your own data. If your GSTR contains lot of uncertain data, uncertain transaction, then your e-invoice will have lots and lots of problem. So proper GST compliance, please make sure that the proper GST compliance is made. Voucher number. Should not be empty. While Tally allows, it should not be empty for your e-invoice. Maximum of 16 characters, should not have spaces. The only special character allowed is /. First character cannot be 0. Or /. GSTN of the e-invoice generating company should be correctly mentioned, but obviously 15 characters. Login name as mentioned in the mailing name. That's very much important. I told you at the start of the when we are doing that registration, that login name should be there in the mailing name. Okay. And avoid using Alt2 while generating e-invoice. Okay. Alt2 is a favorite shortcut for me also, but when I'm generating an e-invoice, there is the information related to e-invoice IRN number also gets copied, so it is better to avoid Alt2. Address 1 and address 2 line should have minimum of 3 and maximum of 100 characters. That is very much required. A detailed document can also be available on request. Okay, so let's see. These are some of the safeguards, but there are a few more questions that I have kept it for you. Benefit to business resolves the reconciliation information, interpolability, and reduce data entry errors. Friends, I have seen solutions which are working around e-invoice concept, and the Mera sale aapka purchase ban sakta on a click of button. In case the number of entries are huge, that can also work. So those such kind of sales are all solutions are also available in the market. Real-time tracking of invoices is something which is really important. Genuine input tax credit, that's what the government is insisting upon. Some of you asked, when will I get these details in the GST returns? As I see, after 2 days. Standardization, interoperability, reduction, processing cost, all these things finally brings improvement in payment cycles and thereby improving the overall business efficiency. Apart from the money that I showed you at the starting that government is getting, they are also getting rid of this fake invoices. Input tax credit verification is something really wonderful, and GSTR on an extra data is getting updated. In short, benefits of e-invoice is nothing but MRF. Okay, now TallyPrime is loaded with some fantastic features. Now, frankly, this is a session for e-invoice, and I did not. I was not looking at, okay, shall I take some other sessions, some other features into it? But then still, I could not resist myself, and I just decided that let me name some feature which would be useful to the users to use along with e-invoice. Okay, how to use it, where to use it. In case you write to Komal or to Tally Solutions, they will create those sessions or they might have created those sessions earlier also. But let me just name those features which are important. One must use it along with the e-invoice. Invoice print optimization. Now, what is print optimization? Now, when you saw that the invoice has to have the QR code, the QR code has to have the minimum size of 1 inch by 1 inch at least to be able to scan. Because of that, the number of items in the invoice gets reduced. Tally has come out with this particular fantastic feature called printing optimization of printing of invoice. I will not show you currently. It is a fantastic feature. Maybe we can have some other session on it, but this is something really, really helpful. Okay, you should look at it, how to do it. We are on 26th of July. From 1st August, many of you would be starting with e-invoice. Relax. Tally has come out with a sandbox testing also. In F11, you just need to activate sandbox testing. So that is also one can do while they have before e-invoice is actually implemented on this thing GST portal. So जो trial run बोलते ना, वो आप trial run कर सकते हो. Okay, by using this sandbox testing. Since it is there in of the today's concept, do let me know if you wish to know more about it. For sandbox testing, please write sandbox testing. If you wish to know more on sandbox testing, please write it in the chat box. So I will show you how to activate sandbox testing and what are the functionality related to that. So please write in that. As I said, that Tally is wanting, or rather Narendra Modi government is wanting to go in a more digitization way. And for digitization, businesses require payment. Payment should come immediately. Tally 3.0 is come up with this fantastic feature called payment collection link. There is a recorded video of one of my other co-Tally evangelist on this particular functionality. You may come back on the Tally portal and see that payment link collect, how to activate and what are the safeguards for payment link. But it is something really important that one can activate it within the invoice itself. And for digital India, no need of printing the invoice. You can directly digitally sign your invoice. That's also a Tally release. I think from 2.1, that feature had come, digital signature. You can attach your digital signature, send it as a PDF to your customers. That's it. That's no customization is required for all these 4 things. Okay, absolutely no customization is required. And this is something really, really useful. And my friends, for sustainable future, we should use digital signature. No need of physical printout. Boss, paper should be avoided at all costs. So how many of you have mentioned sustainable sandbox? Payment collection link, Vikas. No, I'm not going to take that. That you'll have to mention it to Komal for providing the link. Jibesh is saying sandbox testing. Usha and Vikas, only 15 of you are wanting to know about sandbox testing. We are 90 plus here, 80 plus. Komalji, how much time do we have more?
So we are supposed to end at 4:30, but we can extend if this is important and won't take much of our time.
Yeah, so I'll just show it in Tally what to do. Friends, you remember I started with how to activate e-invoice. Activation of e-invoice wanted, it all went from F11 and in the GST details. For sandbox testing, you have to go to F11, but you have to go to this more details. And in more details, you have to provide this show more. And after show more, you have to again click one more button called show inactive. And once you click on this, after 4 clicks, you will get one option called enable sandbox access. Enable sandbox access. That is it. And here you should activate enable sandbox access. Once you have activated that, and then if you wish to invoice from today, then you will have to provide here the details instead of 1st August 26/7. Okay, today's date, that you will have to mention that is e-invoice applicable. That second thing, first is more details you activate. Second is you change the date in F11 GST details. That is there it is. That is the second thing. And the last thing, you remember I asked you to register on the GST portal for e-invoice. For sandbox testing, government has provided another portal. So you just tell your Google Baba sandbox API. I'm sorry. EInvoice.sandbox. So here you can go and follow the same registration process that we mentioned it earlier. Okay, here again you will have to mention Tally India Private Limited as your preferred as your preferred API for selecting the GSP. Once you provide that, yes, this is what it is. So as I mentioned, F11 more details, activate sandbox, thereafter activate the applicable form dates, provide, and come here and then say register your details on the e-invoice API sandbox.nic.in. And once you do a registration out here, the registration details are absolutely the same what I had mentioned to you in the earlier video, and that you will be able to provide it there. Okay, so that is something which was really important, and I have taken up. Okay, and some of you are talking about payment links, some of you are talking about digital signature, and some of you are talking about print optimization. These are very important features. We have already covered it under our CA Connect series, and near the end of the series, Komalji would share the link of that in the chat. One could go to that videos, and some of you done by me, some of my with my other even Tally evangelist. There are 40 of our Tally evangelists. You may find any of those videos really useful. So for the other three, I think we can cover it at later stage, or maybe if you require it in the next session, that also you can mention it to Komalji. She may share her email address at the later point of time. Okay, as I said, there are some useful solutions also around e-invoice. Okay, these Tally features which I just discussed, this is what it is. Let me just take you in brief that what customizations that people are using along with e-invoice. One is saving of PDF of e-invoice generated. So the moment your e-invoice is generated, you are saving a physical or a PDF copy of that. So on an automated mode, the moment your e-invoice is generated, there is a PDF file along in your Tally folder. So that's a customization people are using. Some are also using a customization that stops you from modifying your e-invoice transaction. QR code, as I mentioned earlier, it is not compulsory to be printed only on the top. Many people require it in the bottom of the invoice, on the left hand side of the invoice, or wherever. You can have a customize, you can ask your Tally partner, they can print it wherever you wish to print it. Bulk mailing of invoice to each customer. So when you are bulk generating, you can also use a Tally customization for sending a bulk invoice to each of those customers along with the digital signature. So these are all the solutions that we have seen working around Tally Prime around e-invoice concept, and more on that maybe at some other feature, some other sessions later on. Okay, so let me take some of the more FAQs. Somebody asked, service invoice is compulsory? Yes. Only thing is that you'll have to mention 0 as the quantity and UQC will be others. Friends, there were some challenges in 3.0, and for service invoices now 3.0.1 has been made available. You can download those 3.0.1 and then check it. There are some challenges in 3.0, very few, but in case you were one of those who are facing challenge, I would recommend that please go to download the latest version, that is 3.0.1. They have made e-invoice corrections and HSN update a really fantastic and simple process. How can I ensure data entry operators do not upload the voucher for e-invoice? You can use security control for that. Tally's default security control, you can upload it. Okay. We have already discussed on this e-commerce portal. Let me not take it once again. All IRN details will get updated from the voucher. So friends, this is the final screenshot. You will never go out of the product for e-invoice. What is it which is happening on the global scale? Many countries are in process of implementing it, and many companies have already implemented it. So we are not new, or we are not the alone who has implemented. E-invoice is something which is happening across India, across globe. So one of the first screenshots that I had mentioned, embrace TallyPrime for e-invoicing because it is easy to use, simple to implement, plenty of support available. Thank you for the patient hearing, and I really loved the interaction of all of you who were there and wanting to work on this. Really. So Komalji has shared. I think Komalji, you can take it up, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was a superb session, and like you said, the engagement was awesome with so many queries. I'm just surprised that you managed to answer all the queries. It's still in the audience if you have a question. So like sir said, you can raise your hand. I can allow you to talk and ask the questions directly.
Okay, before you allow, Chetan, I'll just go to some of the Q&A which I have not answered earlier. Okay. Last year turnover 9 crores and 1.5 crore. Last year turnover 9 crores. First time you are supposed to generate e-invoice. Chetna, can we generate e-invoice for non-registered GST registered? No, Vipin, we need to have B. These are only for B2B. So non-GST registered, nothing. Kuch nahi kar sakte. My turnover below 1 crore. Jai Karan says I need supply products for 4 parties. Yeah, you can make Jai Karan. E-way bill is not today's session, but at some other point maybe we can discuss later on. How to enter sales invoice with seller details and buyer details in each invoice. KV and Purna, we have a solution. Tally has got a concept of bill to and ship to. Please activate your consignor consignee details. You should be able to work with that. So much to understand in one software. Can we have the presentation over the mail, and can we review again whenever required? Now that is Kinjal, something that Komalji has in her hand. I'm not sure. I can share my PPT with Komalji. She has all the detail. Is latest Tally version required for smooth functioning? Not absolutely, but yes, preferable. Akshay, thank you. Thank you. And let 3 participants raised hands, please. I'll have some tea also.
I have allowed them to talk. Ms. Rashmi, Mr. Arup, and Mr. Hayat. So you can unmute yourself and ask your question directly.
I am coming from city, the financial capital of India, Mumbai. So Rashmi, you please introduce yourself as well before you speak. Thank you. Yeah, Rashmi, would you like to share? Or Ayub? Arup, sorry.
Arup. Okay. Probably not, sir. So meanwhile, okay, for the people asking for the presentation and the recording, yes, I'll make sure that the recording gets uploaded by tomorrow or day after. And I've shared the link in the chat box. I will share it once more. So you can refer this for all the previous webinars which Punit sir have been mentioning. I'm sure most of you present are already known to the forum of CA community, where we put all the CA Connect webinars, which we do weekly. And I'm sure you will see Punit sir's face a lot of time as he's the prime speaker at our forum.
Yes.
Sir, so we're not getting them to
speak. So friends,
so
yeah. Just one last thing. Friends, this is a fantastic forum that Tally India has started, Tally Solutions have started. Would like all of you to, as a token of a gift to Tally India for starting this forum on a free of cost basis for making understanding of the people, please share this information with 5 or 10 of your friends, colleagues, because next time when we enter, we want more than 300 or 500 people to come to our platform. We have a capacity of 1000, and I'm looking for a date where I will be getting more than 1000 people on this platform. And now Tally has started with a bigger Zoom platform, so I'm waiting for that. So my sincere suggestion or request is that please share this information with all your friends and known person, your clients. Some of you I see chartered accountants coming. Please do share. There is no marketing which is happening on this platform. Please do share with your employees and your customers.
Thank you so much, Punit sir.
Thank
It
you.
is very helpful. We are very grateful to you. Thank you
Right.
once again for this
Pleasure.
amazing session. I will now end the session for all.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you.